Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. Hello and welcome everyone to episode 69. Phil, did you realize it was episode 69 when you logged in today?
Nice.
Episode 69 of the GGG Podcast. He's going to say that every time. I'm Paul, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Phil. We got a great show for you today. Excited to be back. We had a week off, and apologies on my slow uploading of the episodes. I have been sick, and it has been a very busy February, but excited to be in March. Excited to talk about all the March news. We're going to talk a little Split Fiction. We're going to talk Monster Hunter. We're going to get into that big Death Stranding 2 trailer, hubba-baloo. But before we do, Phil, you went on a little mini vacation. You've had a couple days back now. How are you feeling? Have you played? Have you gotten to play Monster Hunter Wilds? What has been the vibe with that?
Let me look and see how many hours I've played, because I got back Sunday night at 9 p.m.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? Let me just hop on and make a character, because I think that's all I did. But I have now played 9 hours between Sunday and today, which is one day.
Sure.
And I am enjoying the hell out of it. I will say on vacation, I didn't play any games. I didn't realize I could have brought my PlayStation. But I did beat Balatro finally. Like, I beat a run of Balatro.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. It took a lot of time and a lot of sitting at the airport, but it finally happened. Just really want to thank my jokers. You know which ones you are.
Yes, there are definitely better jokers than others.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, Monster Hunter has been my main gaming fuel in the past day, I'd say, since I've been able to play. Mm-hmm. And my goodness, it is great. I will say, The Outside World, pretty good game also. I went snorkeling in Turks and Caicos and saw a bunch of cool fish. And I will say it's slightly better than Subnautica.
Slightly.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
They couldn't build a base. They can't build a base in real life.
I mean, you could.
So
it's just
I could.
A lot of legalese, I feel like, would get in the way of that.
Yeah, I feel like I have to steal a lot of stuff from the ocean to build that base.
Yes, exactly. And, building a little more difficult in real life. So
yeah, even in international waters, people still don't like it when you do it.
All right. Well, I'm glad you had a good vacation. I'm glad you got your Monster Hunter in. Well, let's expand. You played 9 hours, though, so I feel like you've sunk your teeth a little bit into it. Is it everything so far that you wanted it to be?
Gameplay-wise, absolutely. Performance-wise, wow, this one's rough.
Did you get it on PC or PlayStation?
I got it on PC because I was going for those extra frames, and I was like, yeah, no, Monster Hunter, I should be able to run that just fine. Nope, wrong. Every time I go into a city, the frame drops to a solid 20.
Wow. Gotta love it.
It's pretty frustrating because it's like I could be in a very intense fight with like one monster with all these moving parts and like lightning effects, 60 frames a second. Beautiful, excellent. That's what I needed, really. But it is annoying to go into the story segments of the game when people are talking to me, and already I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And then the game's like, we're going to slow it down and make it harder to understand. So.
All right.
But the designs, the monsters, the weapons, so good. The new system where... have you gotten to play any of it, Paul?
Yes, I've played quite a bit of it. I bought it on PlayStation 5. And because I was looking for stability, because I was hoping it would be optimized, and it sort of is. So yeah, but I've played by myself and then with a group of my friends, and yeah, I have very mixed feelings about the game in general. But I want you to finish your thought. Did you? What are your?
Oh. The new system for like targeting a specific like injury.
Yes. Yeah.
It is really cool. Every time you do it, it feels awesome. I play with the Bug Lance and now the Charge Axe, and both of those feel great. Every weapon pretty much feels amazing. But with the switch or the Bug Lance, you hit a thing in its weak point, and then it charges all three of like your Bug Lance quadrants. So then all of a sudden you're doing like crazy damage and flipping around the map. Um, and that is to say, I think the game is also considerably easier than Worlds was. And I'm not hating it because I'm just doing a single player playthrough currently. So
sure, yeah.
Tell me how you're feeling about Monster Hunter Wilds.
I think that there are some things that I like. Like you just brought up, like the combat and the gameplay. Like I think it feels a lot less clunkier than Monster Hunter World did as far as the combat. Because I'll be honest, Monster Hunter World, I didn't feel like the combat ever felt that good. Which I know a lot of people will disagree with. It's just my opinion coming off of playing other games. So I feel like the combat is definitely taken a step forward. And I feel like all of the weapons are, obviously you want to practice at a certain weapon style to get better at that and to learn that weapon's combos. But I feel like all of them in this game do a much better job of just being like, if you just want to sit there and whack the monster, you can just sit there and whack the monster. So I feel like that aspect of the game is good. I think that the performance issues are kind of inexcusable, like to some degree. Like on PlayStation, there's like fidelity mode, in between mode, and performance mode, and like I've been playing on performance mode. But honestly, I think the graphics are almost a step backwards from Monster Hunter World. And that is very disappointing to me. And like, I love the creature design. Like I think the creature design is incredible. And the animations for the creatures are incredible. They're at the forefront of like creature design, up there with like Elden Ring and stuff like that. But like the filter that is over everything, where it's like this gray or this brown or this whatever, and it's just like you're robbing me of color in certain areas. And then the cutscenes, where they're not full on cutscenes, they're just like this is the in-engine NPCs talking to me. They look awful, and nobody is talking about them at all. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because there are other games that they would have similar issues and other people will point them out. But for whatever reason, in Monster Hunter, because it is very beloved, we're not going to call attention to the issues that it has. And so for me, I've just had a very mixed process with playing it. Also, like trying to play the campaign online with your friends is horrendous. It is horrendous. Yeah. It is classic Capcom. Like, we still have not figured out how to just put people in a lobby and just let them play through things. And it's like, sorry, I'm in a cutscene right now and you can't join the quest until the fight actually starts. Or we're not in the same instance. I don't know how to figure that out, or I have to reset it so that I'm in the same instance. It's a mess.
It's like they're a network guy and Nintendo's network guy both got hired in 1996, and they stopped learning in 2008.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I'm not gonna change. You kids should just learn how to put in a DNS server and then connect to your friends that way.
Yeah, and
it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think like the big thing is like it's still better than how it was in Monster Hunter World. It's just marginally better from being bad. The online
6 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, I've really struggled with some of those aspects. And like, we're going to get into it a little bit because we do have a Monster Hunter Wilds story that we're going to talk about. But it's just not, I'm not having that good time yet. Also, just as an overarching thing, it's like the lack of palicos making food is inexcusable.
100%. Like, cooking alone in my little bachelor hovel is it looks delicious. Don't get me wrong, the food still looks
It does,
but I want a team of Palicos like doing a song and dance, and bringing me like my plate that's the size of their head.
Yeah,
yeah. It's
the hub. There is a lack of
more.
hub world that there was in Worlds, and I understand like not all of that content was there when World came out. So it's like thought of as like a game as a service. Like it's going to take some updates before you actually get the full hub world and everything like that. But I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that's missing at launch, and that the game, to me, probably should have been released in the latter half of this year instead of at the end of February. So I'm it's a solid game. I get why people like it. I totally understand the Captain Falcon urge of combat, where it's like you really just want to land that heavy attack. But to me, there are so many other issues that people are just ignoring because they like that Captain Falcon gameplay of getting that critical hit.
I think Monster Hunter is definitively like. I think the reason that so many people gravitate to it is it does feel like a gamer-ass game. You know, like it's all about progression and like the gameplay loop of fighting and stuff and collecting bits and like getting your loot and then turning that into better stuff.
Yeah.
It's very like
that's the core of it.
Video gamey, visceral. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting stronger. You're like as good as you are at the game, and then you're just getting better equipment, and you're kind of like earning your way through it, which feels good. And I think that's part of the core of like people love it so much that they're willing to sort of give it the like Bethesda circa 2010 treatment.
They give it grace.
Like, bugs are okay. Yeah. But the performance issues are such a bummer. Like, how is this game not optimized when Resident Evil 4 looked so good, ran at 60 frames? I get that it's a world different, but like this game should be optimized for a computer that can run past it. And the fact that they're like, if you want to play at 60 frames a second in 1440p, buy a PS5 Pro. No. 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 It doesn't look that good.
Yeah, maybe down the line.
I do think the worlds, specifically Monster Hunter World, like, I remember going through that jungle and, like, leaves are moving as you're, like, walking through stuff. It felt so good and real, and the colors were so bright and vibrant. And in this one, they're approaching it, but I remember going into, like, one of the forest segments and being like, it's just not quite the same.
Right.
Maybe it's the camera's a little pulled back, or maybe it's because of my secret, which I named Dylan. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm excited to play more. I'm always thinking about it.
Well,
so that's
all right.
Something.
Well, it's a little bit validating to hear a Monster Hunter fan acknowledge some of the stuff, because I've just been getting it's the best game of the year, and I'm just like, okay, like
maybe it could be with some time.
Yeah, maybe it could be if it released in November instead of February. All right, but we gotta press forward. We're gonna talk a little bit more Monster Hunter later. Split Fiction is our major game release this week. We have not gotten a chance to play it. I'm probably going to pick this up on PlayStation and play this on the couch with my partner. This is, of course, from the makers of the Game of the Year winner, It Takes Two. Won Game of the Year back in, was that 2023, I want to say, or 2022?
I believe 2023.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
I'll look it up.
It's doing very, very well, and it will propel us into our first story this week, which is that Split Fiction has sold over 1 million copies in 2 days, making it the company's fastest selling game, and faster selling, obviously, than It Takes Two. So this is doing very well. I'm already seeing tons of videos on YouTube, on TikTok, of couples playing it together. I think it's doing very well on social media, and that is helping to propel sales and making me very curious about it. I am someone who did not love It Takes Two. I thought that it had amazing gameplay, and the mini games and everything like that were incredible. I just really hated the story in It Takes Two. I thought it was very simplistic relationship writing, that if you have been in a relationship and you're an adult, you're kind of like, yeah, I know. Thank you for explaining a relationship to a 16-year-old. So like that was kind of my impression of It Takes Two. But the gameplay was there. It was amazing. And it seems like the story's a little bit better in this, and that the gameplay has once again made another leap forward. And instead of focusing on just like mini games and whatnot, it really focuses on different genres of games. And so if you are a gamer, you will appreciate all the different genres that the game is jumping through. And it's what makes me very curious and excited to actually play this with my partner. So,
yeah.
So you talked a little bit about, are you going to pick this up with eventually?
I believe so. I would like to, because... So it wasn't It Takes Two. It was A Way Out that I played. Me and my buddy Joe, who's been on the podcast.
Yeah.
We just took like 2 days and streamed our way through it, and it's a really great like single time experience. I guess is the right way to say it.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't finish It Takes Two, but I feel like that is a similar thing where like that first time through is magic. But you'll never pick this game up again.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And that's kind of great.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like what we talked about with Astrobot. It's like you can play it.
I'm here for a good time.
Yeah,
not a long time.
Exactly. Yeah, I played A Way Out as well, so I thought it was great.
Yeah. I thought A Way Out was A Way Out gets a lot of hate, and I thought it was still pretty fun and clever for like exploring what it was, and it's cool just to see that they're taking steps forward. I'm also very happy for them because they have a very consumer friendly model for their game. You buy a copy and a friend you get to send them a code for free to play, which is brilliant. I'm always having to talk my friends into buying games that I'm like, hey, an opportunity's just opened up. Let me tell you about Helldivers. Just hit my mic. Helldivers. Such an excellent game. You play for a little while and then people's lives get busy again. But I like, okay, here, I bought this game. Both of us can just dive on in. Come on.
Yeah. I love A Way Out. The only problem I had with that game was the voice acting, and that it was because I believe they were Norwegian. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but they were they were Northern European actors doing like Brooklyn / like Bronx, New York accents. And there's just a lot of times where their accents would slip and it'd be the weirdest sounding kind of accent sometimes that it would take me out of it for a moment. I'm like, what did he just say? But that was the only problem. Yeah, something like that. So that was the only issue I had with that game. But yeah, very, very fun game. And I'm glad that they're continuing with the genre of these 2-player story-driven experiences, because really nobody else in the market is doing that. So very, very cool. All right, let's get into that Monster Hunter story that I was hinting at. So, in a recent interview, one of the Monster Hunter producers claims that the reason that Monster Hunter is such a success is because the attention to detail that they put into the story of Monster Hunter Wilds. I have a lot of thoughts about this statement, but I'd love for you to go first, Phil, because I'm just fully loaded, and once I start talking, I don't know that I'm going to stop. So...
Wrong. And you don't want to give a single shit part of my...
Oh, man.
Nobody gives a rat's dingleberries about what's going on with my... Like, I love my Palico. I love my Palico so much. I named it after 2 of my pets.
Oh.
I just care that it's there. I don't care about that little kid. The lady who's making my stuff, she's cool. But I don't... Like, we're researching the monster. The monster's right there. Let me just hit it. And it's dead. But the farting monster's pretty cool, so maybe they're onto something. That did seem pretty story heavy.
Exactly.
Go for it, Paul.
Like, What a like. I don't know if the producer is just trying to, maybe they're trying to make their narrative team feel better or something like that.
Mm.
Or what I really hope is not happening is that they are completely oblivious to how bad the story is. No one is playing Monster Hunter. At least, look, all right, I'll correct that answer. No one in the Western world is playing Monster Hunter for the story. Nobody cares. The story is horrible. I am someone who is adamant about don't skip cutscenes. Listen to the story. Give the game your full focus if you're playing through the story, because I hate when people like don't give games their full focus, where it's like a cutscene comes on and you start scrolling through your phone or something like that, and then you complain that the story is bad. But the story of Monster Hunter Wilds is legitimately bad. It is horrible. Like, if that was the core of the game, it would be a bad game. The core of the game is what you alluded to earlier, which is you see the monster, you kill the monster, you make armor out of the monster. That is the core grind of that game, and that's why people love doing it, because it has that element of fashion souls, that you get to play with, and that is the compelling part of the game. The story with Nata, like, I encourage people to skip the cutscenes, because there is nothing in the cutscenes that is going to make your experience more pleasurable in any way. And the fact, also, most of the cutscenes dialogue is not even dialogue. It's just the characters going,
Well, okay. There's one interesting thing about Nata. His name is actually representative of how I am not interested in hearing any more about him. He sucks. I'm sure voice actors do a great job bringing him to life and everything, but I just really don't care because that, like, as a gamer, as an adult man, I have limited time to play games. Mm-hmm. And every second that I have to be watching someone go, I think the monster left some fur over here. And then expand upon that for 20 minutes, or be like, yo, this kid, let's make sure that he's okay. Like, every single frame of Nata, like, being carried away, I'm like, why did you bring him on a mission? He's a child. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Why isn't he back at base? And then once we find his guardian, then we'll bring him out of the base.
That would be great. I do think this is the person trying to, like, secure their job.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, no, the story's really, really good. So I just feel like the story gets in the way. That's me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and this is not, like, I understand my general Monster Hunter impressions are not something that's shared by a lot of people, but this is the one thing that I think the entire Monster Hunter community would agree with. And in that they don't care about the story. I have a friend of mine who is like a Monster Hunter, like, hardcore. This is like his favorite freaking game. This is his most anticipated game in several years, and he even acknowledges that the story is bad. It's just, people describe it on Reddit as Monster Hunter Wilds gets good at the 20-hour mark when you finish the tutorial. Which is, the tutorial is the story and then the game opens up where you can actually run out into the wilds and then see a monster, be like, I'm going to go after that thing. That is the actual game, when you actually get past all of the hubbubaloo and whatever else you want to call it. That gets
the big monster that walks through, and you have to, like, do a completely different game to shoot at him with stuff.
Yeah, and then if you're trying to play with friends, you have to go through all of the crap to even get in the same lobby. So, yeah, no, that is not the thing that is making your game sell. It is not. Sorry. Sorry.
Harsh wake-up call for that producer.
All right. Well, continuing down the negativity train, Sony has demoed some of its new AI technology. Over the last couple of months, Sony has hinted that they are integrating AI into both their workplaces and into their game-making strategies. And so they did a behind-the-scenes look at a AI model using Aloy from the Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn series. and it was Aloy speaking to a reporter. And the reporter was not very impressed. Basically said that everything that Aloy said was very monotone. It did not actually sound like Ashley Birch, who is the voiceover actor for Aloy. And that while, it was cool that the AI could respond to them, it didn't feel like this was a game changer technology-wise as of right now. And Ashley Birch, who is the actor, is a strong proponent against AI voice acting and stuff like that. So I'm sure she's not too pleased about this, although she hasn't released any comments or anything like that. There have been videos that have been pulled offline in referencing this behind the scenes look. So yeah, not Sony. If you're going to demo AI, make sure that it's ready. I would advise you not to do it in general and just pay the actors instead of paying the AI company the ridiculous fees that you're paying them. Yeah, but that's just my point of view. Any thoughts on this, Phil?
Yeah, it sucks. Sony, don't do that. You have enough money to make excellent games and to make them profitably. Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West are two great examples of this. You got God of War. You know what? The Last of Us 1 and 2 would have been worse if you did them with AI. And I don't care if it's in the future, like 300 years, and you've got state of the line, or top of the line, state of the art AI. It's never going to be the same as a human telling a story through their actions, through mocap, whatever, through their facial features, through their voice. It's never going to be the same if it's done with AI. It's just not something that is they are capable of, and it's something that humans had to evolve to communicate to be able to do. Maybe in that time in the future, AI will be better and there won't be humans, so it won't matter. But
oh boy,
Sony, just pay. Use AI for other stuff. Use AI for bosses. The games industry has already been using AI for a long time to help structure like editing behavior and all that stuff.
Yeah,
keep doing that. Let that get better. Great. Don't take away people's jobs with AI. That is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. I think this is a classic, like, we wanted to integrate AI before AI is ready. Like, you know how I feel about it. But it's just, I think that right now AI is not as good as people think it is. And I think that there will be a breakthrough and stuff like that, which is kind of scary. But yeah, it's not ready for this. And the fact that they thought this would be impressive, that they're going to do like a little Milo demonstration where it's like, oh, we can have full conversations and everything like that. It's like, yeah, but I've also seen this technology modded into Skyrim. So if I'm able to see this from a YouTuber who's modding it into Skyrim, what is so impressive about it where it doesn't even sound like maybe the reason it didn't sound like Aloy is because Ashley Birch did not give them approval. I don't know.
Oh, that's quite possible.
And I don't know if she has that right to do that. Something I preach all the time is a lot of people think that actors have a lot of say and a lot of rights, and the reality is that they do not. If actors, unless you're a A-list celebrity, like S-tier celebrity, like Robert Downey Jr. or something like that, you don't have pull when you're doing a job, because if you complain about things, they will get another person in to do that job instead of you. So yeah. So I don't know, something to watch. We'll see if they try doing another demonstration at some of the big conferences coming up. GDC is next week. We'll see what happens with that, but hopefully they rein this in a little bit. All right, moving on to our next story. Atomfall coming out at the end of this month, March 27th. We got a preview. A lot of big game journalist companies were pulled in behind closed doors. Games Radar got shown it. GameSpot got shown Atomfall. And, of course, IGN got shown Atomfall as well. All of them kind of coming away with the same impression that the game feels kind of cool. The AI in the game is kind of dumb, but it kind of evokes its own flavor of game, where it's not quite Fallout. It's a little bit more realistic than Fallout, and that like instead of just having this health bar that you have and you can refill health, it's like when you swing an axe, it actually feels like you're swinging an axe, where it's like if I hit a guy in the head with an axe, he's dead in one hit, and kind of going for that level of realism. So it looks kind of cool. I don't know if it's necessarily my shtick, but definitely worth checking out, especially if you're into that post-apocalyptic vibe.
Yeah, I certainly, I've been, I hold space in my heart all the time for whatever the follow-up to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas is. And, Fallout 4 kind of was. But Fallout 4 also, I feel like I did not finish because I don't care about Sean and all of his synths or whatever. Atomfall, I think, like, right now, a lot of hope for me is coming from other developers. The Stalker game wasn't quite like my vibe. This seems like it's a little bit closer, more serious than Fallout, but less, like, boring serious than Stalker, where you have to constantly, like, pull out your... Okay, cool, I can drink this water. All this to say, it seems a little silly in that there's like robots and that it's like Fallout but in a different setting.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. It could be one of those sleeper surprise hits, but I think not necessarily silence, but the kind of quietness around it being in its release month is a little concerning.
Yeah.
If it's a Game Pass game, though, I'm all in.
Yeah, this strikes me as a good Game Pass game. That's what this is for me. Like where, similarly like the Outer Worlds, like that did very well on Game Pass. It stirred up a lot of positive feedback on it from players who didn't actually like buy the game but just wanted to try it out. And so like I remember that's how I played Outer Worlds. So I think like this is probably the best route for this game. It's from the makers of Sniper Elite. If you're a fan of the Sniper Elite series, sorry, I got something in my throat. It's not coming out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, should be interesting. We'll stay tuned for it. We'll talk about it, when it officially releases at the end of this month, and see where the reviews live. But I'm smelling a 7 or an 8, probably a 7.
Yeah. Mid sevens in my book.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. All right. So we got a little bit of a showcase. I believe we've talked about this game on the podcast before, but Hitman World Assassination. We actually got some VR gameplay. This was specifically taken from the PlayStation VR 2. And honestly, I was happily surprised with the gameplay of this game. I think that Hitman is a great game for a VR game, because what VR, in my experience, has always been is like really a system of like picking up things and interacting with them. Because movement is so stifled in VR, like I feel like that is the thing that you get out of VR that you don't get out of other video game experiences, where it's like, how can I interact with this thing in a way that I can't do with a controller? Because when you're playing with a controller, you walk up to a thing, you hold a button down to interact, and that is the end of the interaction. And that's the advantage with VR. It's like, oh, I can pull this lever down, or I could take this item and I can shove it in here that stops the gear from turning to destroy the engine, or something like that. And the things that they showed off in this gameplay showcase, I feel like are really like, that's cool. How can I kill people in weird ways using different objects and different things? So I was very drawn to this demo. It's the best VR demo that I've seen in a very long time. What were you going to say, Phil?
Super Hot is an excellent example of how to use VR in a game that like didn't otherwise have it, because you are like just dodging bullets by inches sometimes, and then like grabbing an axe and throwing it at someone's head. And that also, it just like feels very good. If they can get close to that with this, it seems about right. So from what I understand, Hitman World of Assassination came out in 2016. And this was, the major release of the game. But apparently this is Hitman VR. Hitman World of Assassination VR. So seemingly, the entire game just in VR, I feel like would be a really great thing. So if you're familiar with those levels, it's going to be really fun to go in and be like, drop the banana peel right here because I know this guy's going to walk by. Listen, I want this to be good. I want people to have more reasons to get VR. PlayStation VR 2 just dropped, I believe, $100 for your normal run-of-the-mill price. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Still a bit too expensive for the catalog of games. They're still like must-play. Like PSVR 1, I believe, launched, and then soon after Beat Saber came to PSVR. Mm-hmm. There's no killer app right now, and I think that's kind of what they need. I guess with the exception of, the Batman game is on Meta, so...
Sure.
if this can be theirs, then that's great for them.
Yeah. Because all they have really is that Horizon game, and that was the launch title. So if it's dropped $100, maybe that's a Christmas present or something down the line for me. That sounds interesting.
You bet.
So, all right. Next up on the news, Intergalactic, the Naughty Dog game that just got announced back in December. We're getting some more like universe details, no new gameplay or anything like that. But Neil Druckmann has started talking about it a little bit more. And recently he was on a podcast and he talked about kind of the world that they're aiming to create in Intergalactic. The Heretic Prophet is its subtitle. And essentially he kind of revealed that the big question that the game is asking is it's really diving into faith and into religion, as opposed to The Last of Us, where the big question was, what is morality? What is good and evil? Is good and evil really just dependent on your perspective? That was the whole thing of The Last of Us Part 2, and that's why most people didn't like The Last of Us Part 2, because they didn't want to actually wrestle with the morality question. So
I think there's reasons that people that didn't like The Last of Us 2 is because some people suck.
Yeah, but I also think like some people, they are not used to a level of storytelling that is not just black and white like an Avengers movie, or not to crap on the Avengers, because I love the Infinity War saga, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But
that's not a Fast and the Furious film.
Yeah, so and that's one of the reasons that I really love Naughty Dog, is because now that they're out of the Uncharted series, they have the clout artistically in the video game space to ask more interesting intellectual questions. And so I think that talking about faith and religion is going to be a fantastic subject. And something that he revealed during the podcast was that this is an alternate universe from where we are in the real world. And the universe deviated in the 80s of our world.
Very cool.
And so the deviation in the universe is that in the 80s, there was this new religion that was formed. And it was a modern religion as opposed to being an ancient religion. And so everything that's coming after that in this world is from that deviation. And so he did reveal that the main character is a bounty hunter who got stranded on a planet, and that planet was solely inhabited by the people of this religion that the deviation occurred with. So that all sounds really interesting. And then another thing that he also referenced is that there's not necessarily someone that the bounty hunter gets to talk to. He felt that previously in a lot of their games, you always have someone around with you. If you look at Uncharted, you'd have Sully with you, or you'd have Elena, or you have Nathan Drake's brother. And in The Last of Us, you have Ellie, or you have some sort of companion. So you have the dialogue that goes back and forth. And he said with this, we're really aiming for more mystery And like, we want you to pull out information one by one where you as the player and the character are discovering that. You're not just being told that in expositional dialogue. So there's a lot of like world building insight that he really peeled back the curtain on that I find very, very interesting. And it's gotten me a lot more excited about this game. What are your, just from hearing all of that, Phil, are you more excited? Are you more interested? Like, are you curious about this vibe they're going for?
I wouldn't say I'm more excited because I've just been like, I'd say very excited since I saw the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Naughty Dog in my book, like maybe some of the Uncharted games, I was like, eh. But Last of Us, everything they've done since they kind of restarted themselves with Uncharted, I've just been 100% on board. Like, you guys have earned the time that I give you to play these games. Like, I will sit through every bit of story over and over again because I know it's not just good. It's like rich and it is worth my time, and they are always kind of inviting you to pick more out of the story. All that to say, still very, very excited about this game. I try to rein in the hype a little bit because it does feel so far off. Like,
Sure.
it feels so often in games that like you get excited about something that is either very far off, or B, kind of can get canceled, and things can change or whatever. Not that I think this game's going to get canceled, but I'm just really excited to play this, to see a little bit more story stuff, to see what the gameplay is like. But in terms of, I guess, story stuff, they had me from when the Naughty Dog symbol came up. Like, I'm in. That pause there, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. All right. Well, our last story before we get into the main topic this week. Short, little, quick story, but like, I was surprised this game is still going. For Honor still exists. For those who are not familiar with For Honor, it is really a dueling style type game. It's about a world where I think the original premise was the ancient Japan and ancient Norway and ancient England like collided in some god is like, I want to see the best warriors ever fight in all of these battles. And originally it was marketed as kind of a team versus team castle defense or castle offense kind of a game, which is really what I wanted, and really where the game has went over the last 9 years, because we are at year 9 of the game still being supported as game as a service, and this is season 1 of year 9. There will be other seasons, so which is astounding to me. But it's really kind of a PvP dueling melee game. There are some other things you can do that aren't so melee focused, but really that is the core of the game, and that's the core of the community that keeps the game going. For this season, they are doing a unique, like, everybody in a battle arena 2v2v2. So that sounds really fun. If you have a buddy who's still into For Honor, maybe log back in and check it out with them. My problem with For Honor is, like, every time I go back to it, I get my ass handed to me by people who play it all the time. So
spots get cleaned.
Yeah. So did you ever play this game, Phil, when it came out?
Oh yeah, I think I got a code for Honor. So that was back when I was doing more games media stuff, and that game was, at first, he's still pretty good, but still just so different that I think a lot of people bounced off. But its quality has really stood the test of time, and like you said, the game has turned now into Vikings fighting ninjas, fighting cowboys. I know cowboys aren't in the game, but still. Its style of combat and all of it is just so unique that I'm happy to see it still going on, because there's nothing that is quite on its level. Like, Chivalry is a more sim version of this that's also kind of like silly. Like, I don't know, very happy to see that it's still going on and that the community has gotten behind it to such an extent, because it did seem like most of the game world were like, For Honor, and then made a joke out of it. But
sure. Yeah. I'm impressed it's still going, but I would also like to see For Honor 2. But honestly, what I always wanted out of the game is I wanted a castle siege PvP game. And I feel like they, over the years, have really gone away from that, and it's been more about the one-on-one combat, which is a great system that they have, and it is a very unique system, and a system that Kingdom Come Deliverance steals from a little bit. Yeah. So I'm still waiting for that Castle Siege game. So let me know if that game is coming out. Comment and post your...
If anyone's gonna steal more things, can someone please steal the Nemesis system? Monolith doesn't exist anymore, and Warner Brothers is too incompetent to even sue anybody. So just make a good game with that system.
Yes, bring the Nemesis system back.
I will say that on every podcast, but especially episode 69. Nice.
All right, and it is time for our main topic. For this week, we are going to be talking about the enormous 10-minute plus Death Stranding 2 trailer that launched yesterday, yesterday being the previous day that we recorded this, to when we recorded this. And I watched the whole thing, and I wish that I could offer more feedback other than this is as weird as every other Kojima trailer out there. I have a lot of weird thoughts about this, but Phil, I'd like you to go first. We'll start out like we got a little dribble of like there's a new Solid Snake, but this is an alternate universe. Maybe Who knows? I don't know. Are you excited about Death Stranding 2? We got a release date, so that's something to get excited about.
I don't think I am. Because I never finished Death Stranding 1, because it's a mailman game that has a Mountain Dew drinking subplot. And Death Stranding 2, with everything you just said that's in it, does appear to be the only logical sequel to Death Stranding. I don't get this game at all. I like that they've taken the sort of like... So, Death Stranding 1, one of the most interesting factors about it is that people online built, like, structures that you could then use in your games, like, freeways and this and that to get around. And that's also, like, part of the game's ecosystem. I like that the second game seems to acknowledge that. But now you have a gun on your, like, super cool delivery motorcycle and you're fighting other motorcycles. And now there's kind of symbiote-infused Metal Gears. I don't know, man. I don't know. What did you get from the trailer?
I mean, okay. Well, let's start with the simple things that we can actually say factually. One, it looks like that there is more of a focus on combat in this game that we didn't really get. There are a few combative sequences in the original Death Stranding, but that was not...
If I could just interrupt, you mean the piss grenades?
Yeah. So, but it looks like, okay, there's guns in this game, there's spears in this game. It's the gameplay leap looks like, yes, is it still a walking simulator? Yeah, it's still a walking simulator. But we are taking steps to incorporate more combat in the game. And that's what they're adding gameplay wise. There's going to be new vehicles that you're going to be able to experiment as well. Hopefully the vehicle physics are better than they were in the first game. Obviously, like, I don't know, the issue that I have with judging Death Stranding, the first one, is that the way the game launched is different from the director's cut that came out later and the updates and the improvements that they've made later in the game. Because if you play the game like 2 years after it came out, you're actually playing a much better game, in my opinion, than what you were playing when the game launched. So I as far as like the story, like I have no idea what's going on. And I think that artistically, an artist should always have the option to have some things in the story be a little ambiguous. And I think that invites people to have opinions and to start conversations. And I believe that there is a lot of creative value to that. But as far as like Kojima's style in general of having 90% of his storytelling being ambiguous is not something that resonates with me at all. Where it's just like, this is a bunch of cool, flashy shit. And it's like, that's cool. And I get that not everybody needs the explanations that I need personally. And I get that that's part of my opinion. But if 90% of what you're doing is not explained, like I don't, as an artist, I feel like you're not finishing the job. You're just being like, this is some cool stuff that visually I want to show visually, but I don't actually, I'm not really invested in telling you what's going on in the universe. And so for me, that I don't like that. But I get that that's just my opinion. And I get that there is a cultural divide where, you know, how Western writers tell stories versus how Eastern writers tell stories. So I just, that's where I'm at.
No, there is a lot of, I'm trying to think of the right word. I think there's a lot of people who just enjoy vague storytelling. We see that from the Dark Souls and the From Software games. Like, the storytelling in that is clued in bits and pieces. I think it's a little bit more definitive than most Kojima games, and a lot of, I feel like specifically since the Metal Gear games, Kojima's kind of like gone off, and his storytelling is a lot more like a dream that you're experiencing.
I mean, even the Metal Gear game story was just I'm someone who played MGS 4 quite a bit. Back when it came out on PS3, it was like a technological marvel. You had like the active camo systems, but some of the cutscenes in that game, they would go on forever. They would be exposition dumps. But the problem is that the exposition never actually explained what was going on right now. It would always explain something that took place 20 years ago. And it's like, tell me what's going on right now. And I feel like that's what he likes doing. And that's his storytelling method. And it's not something that resonates with me or makes me curious about it. When I see a trailer like this, it tells me I can watch this game on YouTube and get a better, if not equal experience, or equal, if not better experience by doing that, instead of playing your walking simulator in between these giant cutscenes that you want to show off. It's like, just make the digital movie that you want to make. I don't understand why a video game needs to be involved in this. So
yeah, that's I mean, hey, listen, I'm happy Norman Reedus is still working. No, actually, I don't really care about Norman Reedus. I wasn't a big Walking Dead fan, so I don't have an emotional connection to him. Happy for him.
Yeah.
No, it's I do think Kojima. I do think Kojima is like a brilliant mind when it comes to gameplay, and I think he's like doing very unique and artistic things with his storytelling. But the end result is a lot of time it does feel like you're listening to someone explain their dream, which, as someone who used to have a podcast where we interpreted dreams, it is an arduous nightmare.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to plug that podcast real quick?
Oh, no, it's long dead.
Oh, okay.
But go check out Dream Dudes if you want to hear other people's dreams. It's wild.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't know, man. I think this game seems like it'll be very pretty and it'll be the zeitgeist. So, like, we're probably going to have to check it out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just want Hideo Kojima to like do something a little bit more mainstream. Like, I want his take on a Fast and Furious movie.
I don't know,
but as a video game.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
This game should be called The Slow and the Serious.
Yes. But let's get the business part of it out of the way. So there was a release date that is confirmed. It is releasing on June 26th, 2025. It is available for early access 2 days earlier at June 24th if you get the digital deluxe edition. And then there is also a collector's edition that they did announce where you get a giant, or I think it's like a 15, 16-inch statue. You get certain in-game items. including early unlock gun. You get certain there's like an exoskeleton you wear on your legs and kind of in general just across your whole body. You get a certain version of that. You get little figurines. You get art cards. So there's lots of stuff. If you're really into Death Stranding, the collector's edition looks like a pretty good collector's edition. Not gonna lie, not really my thing, but if you're into it, have at it, people. So yeah, that is cool that they committed to a release date. Always happy about that.
And I think I don't know. I guess it feels soon now. But I like that they did it also within a year of releasing the first trailer. That they're like,
yes,
hey, this is our concept of the game, and it's out within a calendar year.
Yes, absolutely. That is always good to see, so we don't have to just see a title and then wait 8 years. Bethesda. I
was at the original thing where they showed us Elder Scrolls 6 title. Like, I was at the thing. That was when Rage 2 was about to come out. Andrew WK came out and played Ready to Die. Rage 2 is a pretty cool game.
Yeah, it is.
Also. But that was when they announced Starfield, and hey, we're working on Elder Scrolls 6.
Woo!
About a decade ago.
Ooh.
So,
all right. Well, this has been, I feel like since we had the week off, we held on to a lot of mixed emotions and gamer feelings. So I'm glad
I feel like Negativity Train, you said earlier, is also a great alternate title for our show. That's not us. That's on the games field of business.
Yeah. Maybe, that's probably the episode title. We'll see what happens when I get to editing. So, all right. But with that, we are over time, so we got to wrap things up. Thank you, everyone, to listening to episode 69.
Nice.
Of the GGG Podcast. We appreciate you. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. And if you're listening to the audio-only version on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, follow us over there as well. We would really appreciate it. We're getting more listens per week. We really appreciate that as well. We're continuing to grow. Let us know if there's anything that you want us to talk about in the Gamerverse. We would happily oblige. So yeah.
When people suggest our show to other people, because I'm assuming that's how it's like getting out there, getting around. Do you think that how do you think people describe it? Because I feel like someone would be like, hey man, listen to basically Statler and Wardrobe from the Muppets, but about the games industry.
Yeah, that's probably got to be how it is. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're just breaking down the news, and I feel like a lot of times some of the stories that we bring up are not always like headline stories. And we're actually talking about trailers. We're talking about the thoughts and everything like that. So if you'd like to talk about games in a slightly more intellectual way, that isn't just like, thumbs upping a trailer that you like, then you'll probably like this podcast. So, well, I'll work on the pitch.
That's good. Next week is Assassin's Creed Shadows, so check in with us for that. I will definitely be playing on Ubisoft Plus. Don't buy the game. Just play it on Ubisoft Plus. Ubisoft doesn't want you to know about this one simple trick.
Is there a specific Ubisoft Plus version that we should get? Because I remember you recommended a specific version for Star Wars Outlaws. God forbid.
Let's see. Plus. Man, what a great game, huh? Let's all think back.
It's not. I reluctantly beat that game. Oh my God. What a waste.
You beat that game despite that game?
Really? It was just like... It's just not fun is the problem. Like, ultimately.
Cool Star Wars world.
It was. It felt like I said, the Cantina vibe was amazing. There were some aspects of the game very good, but it just, at the end of the day, it just wasn't fun. So, yeah.
You want the premium? You play games from day one, $17.99 instead of paying $70 for the game. Pay $17, play it, and then stop playing it.
There you go. Perfect. That's what I will do. And there's no multiplayer in this, right? All right. So yeah, once you're done, just get out. All right, we got to really wrap it up now. We're almost across an hour. So peace out, everybody, and have a good one.
Nice.